So 100 years ago, back in 1993, when I was 20, I lived in a trailer down the street from my then girlfriend's house. Her name was Jennifer, and she was awesome. So great, in fact, that I married her 3 years later, and as of right now, we've been married 22 years. Sorry, I got off track, but she's just the best, and I really lucked out, especially considering what I accidentally did to her one dark evening when I kinda accidentally made her think she was maybe gonna die. On accident, of course. So I was in my trailer one evening, which leaned ever so slightly to the left. I was talking on the phone, a wired phone, not one of those fancy ones where you pull out the antenna and walk around. And we decided that she should come down and we could watch a movie. She lived the equivalent of a city block up the street, but it wasn't in the city, so it was dark. There's no street lights. Now, a good boyfriend would have immediately got off the phone, started walking toward her house so that she wouldn't have to walk alone. But I was an absolute idiot back then, because what I did instead was immediately started thinking of a way to scare the crap out of her. I say I started thinking, and that's giving me too much credit. What I did was just walked out the door and hid behind the porch, and I was just going to jump out when she came up the steps. It was only then, while I was crouched down in the dark, that I started thinking. And what I thought was, this is too much. I'm not just going to scare her. I'm going to scare her to death. My scare may kill her. This is too much for anyone. She's already walking down here in the dark, and then a full-grown man is going to jump out of nowhere. At minimum, it's going to mess up her life in some way. So I decided that I wasn't going to do it, but I had waited too long because she was already crossing the lawn toward the porch. What I should have done is just stayed there until she got in the house, and then I could have just walked in behind her. But I wasn't thinking, and I'm an idiot, as I already established. I wanted to show myself in a non-threatening, unscary way, so instead of jumping out, I stood up. Unfortunately, when I did stand up, I grunted slightly. You know, one of those grunts old men do when they stand up from a comfortable chair. Ugh. She froze, and she looked in my direction. So I reached out to her and started to say, "Jen, it's me." But the moment I opened my mouth, all we both heard was her screaming and freaking out. I had accidentally scared her more by trying not to scare her than if I'd had just gone with my original plan of jumping out like an idiot. From her perspective, she had been in the dark for 5 minutes walking alone. Coming up to the slanted trailer, she hears what sounds like an animal, so her entire body seized up in fear as her eyes tried to find the source of the sound. She thinks she's seeing the shape of a man standing not 4 feet in front of her, but her mind is telling her she's just imagining things until the shape reaches out his hands and starts to talk. And the fear that was already at 150% goes through the roof, and absolute chaotic panic overtakes her entire existence. The good news is she survived the whole thing. I was very sorry. And at least I had a good story to tell about how it was kind of, sort of a total accident, and that I was not trying to scare her, actually, kind of not. And I learned an important lesson that night. James is an idiot. I actually learned that if something is only fun for me, it's not probably fun for everyone else. I had a real chance to do something really nice and thoughtful, but I blew it by being a jerk, and I actually did something that could have been really damaging. I am a lot nicer now. I don't scare her on purpose anymore. My kids, on the other hand, that's a different story. I hope you enjoyed my story. If you did, do the liking and the subscribing. And for more life stories, look up my podcast, That Story Show. See you next time.